Welcome back to Hutchinson, Kansas. 32 degree in the Hutchinson Sports Arena. We are here with Coach Josh Sash of Indian Hills. Coach Josh Sash, you just picked up your first win as a head coach in Hutch. How does it feel?
It feels good. It's definitely cold in here, though, all those missed threes that we had. I mean, we were ice cold.
It felt chilly in here, right? It felt a little chilly.
There was a little bit of wind. If you hear Russ W. Oker, he talks about there must be a little bit of wind in here. So
there weren't as many Morgan Corner Ale House threes as you would have hoped for this evening.
We're not.
So I wrote just a couple notes as things happened. There was a what I will classify as a Class 1 kerfuffle that occurred at the 13:23 minute in the second half. At that point,
sponsored by Schroeder Graphics.
Sponsored by Schroeder Graphics. At that point, you guys were down 36-31. I thought that kind of gave your guys a little bit of energy. At that point, their big guy rolls his ankle at the 8-minute mark. I thought you guys played really well down the last 8 minutes. Probably not overly enthusiastic about the first 32 minutes of the game.
Yeah, Chris was the first man to the floor there on that little scuffle, and the guy was just kind of standing there, and they ended up calling a foul on Chris, and then the guy's standing over top of him a little bit, and I don't think he meant any harm by it, and then Chris is just trying to pop up, and it kind of turned into something that probably looked maybe a little worse than what it even was. But I did think that gave our team some energy and some juice, and something that I felt like we kind of had lacked throughout the game, and when their big guy went out for a handful of possessions there, I thought rebounding wise it was good for us defensively. It put us in some tough matchups. Do you leave Pac out there with all the rebounding, or do you have him guard to guard? And so fortunately we were able to make enough plays to win the game down the stretch.
Wallace State, they shot 57% in their first game, really just scorched the nets. I think you guys did a really terrific job defensively. I know no coach is ever happy with the defensive effort, but they were 23 out of 58 from the field, 40%. Jimmy Williams, who's had a terrific run recently, 5 for 18 from the field, obviously a focal point for your defense. I thought you guys were really locked in on him all night.
Yeah, he's a really, really good player, and they put him in really good situations where he can get downhill, he can make some threes, he can score at a variety of levels. Our game plan was to keep him off his right hand, and I didn't think we did a great job to start that. It's one of those things you try to rep it in practice, and then when you get to the game, it's an adjustment that we didn't execute great to start the game, but then I thought as the game went on, I thought Kenai Briggs, didn't make shots like he, sometimes does. But defensively, I thought he did a really good job, probably the best job on Jimmy, and just kind of frustrated. And we made him a volume guy. 12 points off 18 shots.
You'll take that,
I'll
right?
Take that all day, every day. So
I wanted to ask you about Kenai. I'm not a big plus-minus guy. I've never really followed the statistic, but this really jumps off the page at me today. When Kenai was on the court, you guys were plus 18, which is, for whatever reason, it's a really eye-popping statistic because he didn't put up a lot of points necessarily. He did have 6 assists. So there was some quiet things that Kenai did that influenced winning today for the Warriors.
Yeah, he was 0 for 4 from 3, but I thought, he showed a lot of maturity to not let, his offensive game or lack thereof making shots, affect his defensive game. So I thought, he did a great job on him, and he did other things. He shared the ball, he rebounded a little bit. I thought he did a really good job just, playing within himself and sticking to the game plan.
Coach, if you wouldn't mind, talk a little bit about Chris, what he brings to this team, 13 rebounds. It's been a year for Chris. We talked a little bit about it when we were on the air earlier, just kind of some of the things that he had to go through just to even get to this point. What does Chris bring every day for you guys that keeps you, kind of focused and level with that intensity?
Chris brings energy. He brings length and athleticism. He just plays with a big-time motor and passion, to be all over the glass. Chris, I think he got on our campus on a Friday evening, and then it was Tuesday morning about 7 a.m. I got a call from him that his father passed away. And so, he's in a brand-new place and doesn't know anybody and by himself, and, loses his father and only has an 18-year-old brother left, And so, not only dealing with himself losing his dad, but then trying to help, his brother navigate, okay, I'm by myself, what does this look like? How do I figure out a funeral? And so, fortunately, unfortunately, there were some people that stepped up. His former coach, Jason Sauter from down there at Frank Phillips. Jason put together a GoFundMe that, was able to raise some money to help him, send some money back over to, to the Congo so, his brother could pay for a funeral. And so a lot of people stepped up. Love Chris to death. He's a sweetheart of a kid. He just brings it. He brings it every day. And I don't think we'd be anywhere close to where we, are right now without Chris and Paca.
Coach Sash, thank you so much for spending some time with us. Enjoyed this with the Warriors family, and quick turnaround tomorrow. We look forward to seeing you on the court as you take on the Wranglers tomorrow.
Right back to it.
All right.
Yes, sir.
Thanks, Coach. Thanks for spending some time with us.
Appreciate it,
Hey,
guys.
buddy.
All right.
Be good.
Thank you.
All right, and that is head coach Josh Sash of Indian Hills. Huge win for Indian Hills today, 63-58. So much of this Tuesday is just survive and advance, right? It's very hard for these teams who've not yet played on the sports arena floor to take on a team that's already been here once, like Wallace State, and has a win under their belt. So far, 5 of 6 of the top 8 seeds have advanced. Brandon, we have 2 more. 2 more. Session 1 of day 3 is in the books.
And before we get into looking ahead a little bit here, I just do want to say I grabbed Coach from Wallace State right after the game. I've seen a lot of games here. I've seen a lot of games in person. I've watched a lot of games on TV. I don't know as if I've seen as gutsy of a performance out of the team as we did from Wallace State today. Short bench anyways. Got real short.
Real quick.
Got real short real quick with some injuries and an unfortunate situation with having to lose a player to a technical.
Let's talk about PJ Easton real quick.
Oh my gosh.
Talk about how this week has really probably changed the next couple of years of his life.
100%. I mean, anybody that was in the stands here that is a Division I coach that didn't at some point have something cross their mind saying, I think that kid might be able to play for us at almost any level. I don't know what they were watching, right? He's got the physicalness, he's got the toughness. We saw that ankle go the wrong direction when he came down on it. And he came back over here for about 30 seconds, popped back over to the bench.
Tape him up and
go.
go.
They had to carry him off the floor.
Right.
And then all of a sudden he's back into the game with that thing taped up, going to war with Chris and Paca. Just absolute gutsy performance that, there's just something for that entire team to be incredibly proud of.
Yeah, well, the entire Wallace State family has to be incredibly proud of what they accomplished here this season. Coach Alan Sharp did a fantastic job with some great players. 6 of the 8 of the Elite 8 are in the books, Brandon. Session 1 today is officially closed. 2 games left for business today. We have Salt Lake versus Connors and Chipola versus Hutch. We have a lot of great basketball yet to come. We are probably going to be back with you in about 10 minutes or so, and we'll take a deep dive into the nightcap.
Let's do it.
Without further ado, we'll be back in a few minutes. Enjoy your basketball evening.